Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be recapping the Washington Commanders OTA session from today, and a lot happened. Jeremy Reaves hit Dyami Brown really hard and Ron Rivera got very upset. Jahan Dotson continues to ball out, and Curtis Samuel was on the side field. So I'll give you guys an update on all that. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please help me get there. Also, hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. So we'll get started with the highlights from today's practice. We got a one-handed catch from Cole Turner, a bunch of Jahan Dotson, highlights J.D. McKissick, and much, much more. So let's get right into that.
I've been doing that for 3 years, and I keep a stack of boxes. I got like 100 boxes, 100 bars.
Okay, so those were the clips from today's practice. Now let's get started with an injury update. So Curtis Samuel unfortunately was on the side field and came out in a baseball hat, stretched with the team, and then headed over there. And then Gibson was there as well. And then, the media asked Ron Rivera about it after practice. So here is the update. So Curtis Samuel came in a little sore on Monday. So Ron and the trainers chose to have Samuel sit out today. He said he felt a little tight. So that is a little bit concerning. And then Antonio Gibson has slightly pulled hamstring, and Rivera wants to be smart with both guys. Says he's looking forward to seeing Samuel in minicamp next week. So it seemed like Samuel was, pretty minor, but again, something like that where it's a groin issue, like you get nervous anytime you hear anything about like tightness or soreness, anything like that. So it's to be expected after this is his first time practicing in fully practicing for over a year. And he's been playing really well. He's looked good. So it's fine for him to get this week off. And then hopefully he is good to go next week. If, Curtis Samuel is out next week, that's when it gets concerning if he's missing days next week, because that's mini camp. And then after that, if he's still out in training camp, then we know it could be a repeat of last year. But I don't think we're anywhere near that point. And I think this is more a precaution. And I think Curtis Samuel will be fine. Gibson, on the other hand, a little more concerning, saying it's I don't think Ron Rivera said it was like a pulled hamstring, but he said, something in the hamstring. So probably, slightly pulled hamstring like, Pete Haley said, but you don't know that for sure. Hopefully he's good, but that could be a situation where Gibson's out for most of minicamp, if not all of minicamp, and hopefully all good to go with, for training camp. And that's why, drafting Brian Robinson or any running back, if they would have drafted someone later, it would be a good move in my opinion, because Antonio Gibson has struggled with injuries in the past. And last year he only missed one game, and that was because of the virus. But he had every single game he was questionable going into it because of an injury, whether it was a hip, shoulder, shin, toe injury. He had an injury almost every single week, and I think that contributed to him not looking as explosive as he was in his rookie year. He was still good, don't get me wrong, but he also struggled with fumbles. But I think a lot of that had to do with the injuries, and already having an injury in OTAs isn't the best thing, but also shows why they did draft Brian Robinson, who can, if Gibson is out, take 10, 15, 20 carries for a few weeks while Gibson is out. So I don't think they're, very concerning at all. With, hamstring, worst case scenario, you're out for a couple months until training camp, maybe a little bit longer than that. I think he'll be fine. And the usual other guys who are on the side field, Logan Thomas, Tyler Larson, Sammis Ray is still out there. So he is not helping himself. Obviously it's not his fault. He got hurt, but these other guys Hodges and Cole Turner and guys are going to be ahead of him on the depth chart. I mean, Cole Turner probably already will be no matter what, but still, it's going to be hard for Sammis Reyes to make the roster unless he gets back on the field soon. So now let's get into kind of some of the, not really drama, but Jeremy Reaves crashed into Dyami Brown on a throw over the middle from Taylor Heineke. Brown was down on the ground, walks off slowly, and Rivera calls the team into the middle, chews them out, stresses discipline, and, John Keim says, is as pissed as I've seen him in practice. And I saw almost every single reporter say the same thing, that, this is the most, upset they've seen Ron Rivera in his time in Washington. So he's not happy at, Jeremy Reese. He said afterwards that he was disappointed in him. And I mean, yeah, you do not want to have these hard hits in practice, and does not bode well for someone like Jeremy Reese, who's already on the bubble in terms of making the roster. Probably not going to make the roster anyways, because they drafted Percy Butler. Derek Forrest is looking good, so we're going to talk about that. But he's looking good, and he was a 5th round pick from the year before, and he made the roster last year, so not boding well for Jeremy Reese. I don't think he's going to get cut anything over this, maybe, but Ron Rivera definitely not happy at all, and we'll see if anything comes of it. And then in terms of how De'Ami Brown's feeling, this is what JP Finley said. De'Ami Brown walking off on his own seems fine, but woozy, I'd bet he's done for the day, if not weak. So probably not anything major, but who knows? Could be a concussion, could be like a rib thing, and like especially a concussion, like it just, once you get one or two, they start to pile up more and more and more, and to get one in OTAs, that's just really, really sucks, and it's just so preventable. You don't need that to happen. They don't want any like big hits at all, and I mean that's on Jeremy Reese for sure, like 100%. And also, like Heineke, come on, you got to probably throw a better ball than that. I don't know. It's hard to actually say. I think that's what they were kind of saying, though, like the media, that it was like he lobbed it up there. And like that's why a lot of people didn't love Heineke last year. That's one of the reasons, because he threw lollipops. Even when the receiver's open, he kind of lobs it in there instead of just drilling it in right there, drilling it in like Carson Wentz would. So we'll see how De'Ami Brown's feeling in the next week or so. Hopefully he's fine for minicamp, and I assume 100% he'll be good to go for training camp in like 6, 7, 8 weeks. So moving on from that, Jahan Dotson, man, he is really, really impressing. So this is from Ethan Cadeau. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. He said, Jahan Dotson leaves Kendall Fuller in the dust on a crossing route. Wentz finds him for the easy completion. Next play, Wentz finds Cole Turner open down the seam, and then Wentz finds Dotson again down the right sideline, wide open. 11-1 have a strong connection throughout OTA so far. So that is, I mean, we're hearing this every single practice. Jahan Dotson is dominating, and we've heard it from Logan Paulson that he's obliterating he's burning all the corners on the defense, and we just saw right here that Kendall Fuller got beat by Jahan Dotson, and he's doing this every single week. And I know it's just OTAs, but to have a guy do this well in OTAs and be like a first round pick, this bodes well for how he's going to play this year. And still not necessarily expecting over 1,000 yards, but like I think this guy will be good in his rookie year. Maybe, like I said, maybe not 1,000 yards, but like 750, 800 yards. Like that's not too high of expectations in my opinion for Jahan Dotson in his rookie year. And again, I think Terry McLaurin being gone could be a blessing in disguise, just in terms of like him being gone for OTAs, because Wentz is able to form a connection with Jahan Dotson right away. And Terry, like for the people saying Terry needs to be out there because him and Carson Wentz need to form a connection, like yes, they need to form a connection, but they'll be able to do that during training camp, preseason, and after that. Like Terry McLaurin has played fine when he met the guy that week. Like, Taylor Heineke, he met him that week in the Tampa game because he was injured, and, he was Taylor Heineke was a quarantine quarterback, so they never really, threw a pass to each other in practice before then, and that was the first time they did it. And, Terry McLaurin played fine. He did the same thing with Garrett Gilbert and other QBs. He's fine when he, only gets a couple days to, gel with the quarterback, so he'll be fine when he only gets a couple months. He will be fine, and Wentz is like the best quarterback he's played with. So I think Terry McLaurin's going to be fine, and Jahan Dotson is going to be better because of that. Man, I'm just excited to see what Jahan Dotson can do in training camp and preseason, and then finally the regular season, because I think this receiving core, if healthy, can be a very good trio in Terry, Curtis, and Jahan Dotson. Comment down below how many yards you think, Jahan Dotson will get in his rookie year if he plays all 17 games. Now, a player that has stood out, so one play that was made, Derek Forrest makes a sudden break on a ball from Wentz and tips it to Cole Holcomb, who comes down with the pick. Fuller got Wentz earlier was a hell of a read by Forrest, and I've heard, a couple good things about Forrest so far, and I talked about it after the Giants game, Week 17, because Derek Forrest did not play much last year because he was hurt for until Week 8 or something, and then just, that kind of set him back. But the last week, I saw some flashes from him where I'm like, okay, this guy can be a player in the NFL. He could be a good backup, maybe even a starter. He had a couple blitzes on the quarterback where he had a really, really nice burst there, and I'm like, okay, this guy can play, and it was only a few plays, but looks like it might have translated to this offseason, hopefully into this season. And then Ben Standick said that Forrest stood out for me defending some throws the previous 2 weeks, some valleys with those peaks, but he's making plays after essentially a redshirt rookie season at safety, so maybe he could start for them at free safety. I mean, he's very versatile, can play free, strong safety, special teams, maybe that Buffalo nickel, who knows? If, Percy Butler isn't totally ready, he could play maybe Buffalo nickel or, maybe just be a backup for them. But I'm really liking what I'm hearing from Derek Forrest. So let's see what else we have. Just another thing about, Jahan Dotson, just dominating so far. I mean, I already showed you guys this clip, but, basically it was Jahan Dotson running a route. But JP Finley said, but this accurately describes how Dotson is fitting in, and he said he's fitting in well. So let's just recap the play-by-play from today. Nothing major. You guys saw that AGG play right there, and then now it says Washington's going through 2-minute drills now. Second pass play, Fuller picks off Wentz. We heard about that earlier. Special teams drills up next. Players on the field catching punts. Dotson, Milne, McGowan, Ezard, and Erickson. So 2 of those guys are UDFAs, undrafted free agents, and then Erickson I think is going to be that guy, but Dotson could be as well. But I think Dotson, especially for how he's been playing right now, I think he'll be more of a spot returner. So if they really need a big return, they'll go for Dotson, but they probably don't want to risk him getting injured, because, I mean, you get injured a lot in punt returns, and, it's not necessarily worth it to do it every play for Dotson if you think he's going to get injured. So if you have Erickson and he's solid, you can put him in there, and then you can spot return Dotson. So you need a big play, you go and give it to Dotson for a punt return, kind of what they did with Santana Moss. Let's go up. First play of team drills, Dotson working against Kendall Fuller. Dotson ends up being open in the middle of the field. I think that was the same play we're talking about. Heineke aired a 50-yard bomb to Markin Michelle, who had 2 defenders trailing him on the play. The play ended in a touchdown, and Michelle let both defenders know about it. So continuing on, we talked about the Derek Forrest and Cole Holcomb play. Good play right there. So that's kind of the main, those are all the plays. And Ron Rivera said he was disappointed, and we have to be smarter than that in terms of the Jeremy Reeves play. So definitely not too happy about that. And Rivera said he really likes the command of the Washington Commanders offense. So I don't think he was intending to make a pun there, but still nonetheless pretty funny. So that is going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about today's practice. Kind of a little bit of everything. Jahan Dotson continues to dominate. We see a big hit where Coach Rivera is, kind of upset, and some other, Curtis Samuel on the side field. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.